How you are treated is what you tolerate in your life. When people see how you treat yourself, they literally will follow after that standard. Hey guys, what's happening? Thank you so much for coming to my channel. My name is Vera, and in today's video, we are gonna be talking about boundaries. Cue intro. So when I talk about boundaries, or when I think about boundaries, I'm thinking about setting limits for yourself, setting standards for yourself, setting something that's gonna help you in life. But to be fair, I see boundaries as a form of self-care. I see boundaries as a form of self-love, and it also helps you with like discipline and self-control. Most importantly, if you are gonna set boundaries for yourself, you need to know your self-worth, because you can't put limits, you can't put boundaries on something if you don't know the value of it. At the museum, they'll say, no touching, literally X, like don't come this close, because it's fragile, it's precious. Like people are coming, people are paying money to see it. That shows just how precious that painting is. That just shows how precious that masterpiece is. And I think that's how we should all see ourselves, that we are so precious through the eyes of God, so valuable, that we can't just allow any type of nonsense in our life. And I'm telling you, life is too precious. Some people say life is too short. It's too short to just be sad and to be dealing with nonsense, literally no sense things. So here are 4 reasons why we need boundaries in our life. Point number 1, it shows people how you want to be treated. How you are treated is what you tolerate in your life. It's a reflection of what you think of yourself. First and foremost, love God first, and then you'll begin to see yourself through His eyes, because Jesus said, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. And you can't give what you don't have. If you are being mistreated in a certain way, you have to ask yourself the question, why am I tolerating this in my life? How do I actually see myself? God didn't make you to be walked all over. I honestly believe I have kings and queens that are watching this video. Point number 2, it closes off toxic and unhealthy associations. This one, I cannot stress it enough. Look, as for me, my mental health, my peace, my relationship with God, it is priceless. My face just dropped for a reason. It is priceless. I don't want to do anything that would compromise that, because for me, if my relationship with God isn't there, if I'm backsliding, I'm not at peace. And the last thing I need is either a person or even a bad habit, because it's not just people that are toxic, even maybe habits that you have with yourself can be toxic. I am not allowing any of those things to disturb that peace that I have. Me, no. If you are associated with someone, something, it could be your workplace, it could be bad habits that you have, and it is affecting your mental health, it's affecting your peace, it is causing you to question yourself so much. Like, look, we live life from the inside out. How we see everything depends on what our heart is saying and what our mind is saying. To be honest, mainly what our heart is saying. So the last thing you need is to be around someone or to be around people that are now disturbing that. And then a few years later, you're gonna look back and be like, oh, why am I still in the same place? It's because you didn't put up any boundaries. It's because you didn't address those situations, you didn't address those feelings with yourself. Now that's self-awareness, and that is a whole nother video that I will do, but right now let's get back to the matter. This brings me to point number 3. It breaks cycles and it builds discipline. Have you ever asked yourself, or do you know someone rather, that says things like, why is it always me? Why does this always happen? Why do I always attract this type of man? Why do I always attract this type of girl? It comes to a point in life where we need to take responsibility for ourselves and stop pointing the finger at other people. And this is a whole maturity thing. Sit down with yourself and question yourself. It's time that we all started taking responsibility for our own actions. At the end of the day, we are not responsible for how people react to us. We are not responsible for how people perceive us. every man has their own burden to carry, and everybody has their own load to carry. So whenever we put boundaries in place, we literally are working on ourselves and we are breaking cycles. For example, you might have a boundary with yourself like, okay, I'm not going to bed until I brush my teeth. That is a boundary that you have with yourself. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. That's a boundary you have with yourself. If you're someone that's always late, you have to have a boundary with time, man, because time waits for no one. Say, for example, I'm going to leave the house by X time, whatever it is. Like, these are just things that you set for yourself. So it breaks cycles and we're building disciplines. And there's a saying that it takes 21 days to build a habit. So the more you start doing this, the more you will actually start to see it. Because remember, we have to change things from the inside first before we see a change on the outside. This brings me on to my next and final point. We have boundaries in place because it transforms us into the person that God wants us to be. So I mentioned that it's a form of discipline. You have to think about the person that you want to be, because remember that we're all work in progress. The person that you are today is not the person that you will be in the next 10 years. You are most likely going to change. They often say that the older you get, the wiser you get. I personally believe that you can be wise even from a young age, because even David said that he was wiser than all his teachers, and this is when he was a young guy. This literally is just a path to who you want to be. It will help you to get to that stage. I think about Esther and the fact that she was to be the future queen. She was the one that helped the Jews to fight back. If it wasn't for her, then who knows what would have happened. Remember that Esther had to go through years. I think it was 6 months of training, 6 months of using oil and perfume and all these things, because Rome wasn't built in a day and she didn't become queen overnight. So it's like, we have to say goodbye to the old and make way for the new. And this is where separation comes in. I'm not talking about separation with people, but even with ourselves. And I want you to think deeply. I don't want you to just listen to this video and just go on to the next. No, I want you to take everything in that I am saying and see how it can help you. Don't just be a hearer of the word, be a doer. Because that's what we want in our lives. We want to do and see change. There are certain things that we need to say goodbye to. There are certain things that we need to make way for. It's not going to happen overnight. That's another thing I want to say. These things take time. So with that being said, I hope that you will start to think about your life and think, where can I put boundaries in? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment below as well. Tell me, what boundaries have you put in place? Because as much as you're watching this and you're learning from me, I also like to learn from others. Subscribe for more content. Share to someone that you think needs to hear this message. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time.